And I've only been in a Starbucks once in my life, and it wasn't even for me. I was buying something for somebody else
My
for
name is
lunch.
Sydney, and I work at Starbucks. I've been working there for about 2 years now. This story
Heard
takes
they
place last
pastries
fall,
actually pretty
and
good.
it all started, I would say, about midway through October. I was working a lot at the time, and worked all sorts of different hours. At my location, we would have a lot of regular customers that would come through on a daily basis to get coffee. We would also have some regulars who would sit inside and get their work done on laptops and things like that. I remember that I started to notice this one guy a lot when he would come inside and sit at this one chair that we had at the far end. He would sit there almost every single day in the same spot
Maybe he's
and
writing
just
a
kind of look
script.
around. He didn't really seem to be working on things much. I did notice a laptop with him several times, but he wouldn't always use it. Sure, I didn't just stand there watching this guy at work, but I would glance over and see him all the time. It came to the point that he was there pretty much every single time that I was working. I noticed him, but I didn't think much of it until a coworker brought something to my attention. She said that this guy only seemed to be there when I was working.
I was gonna say
She
he
said that she
watching
thought it
you.
was really strange. I thought this was weird, but figured that it was just a coincidence at first. However, over the next week, I couldn't help but realize this more and more. I also saw that the guy appeared to be looking at me many of the times that I noticed him. When the week was over, I asked one of my coworkers again if she noticed the man inside at all when I wasn't working, and she said no. I was getting really suspicious. Was this guy stalking me or coming in to watch me for some reason? The next time I worked, sure enough, the guy showed up
About to
within an
take
hour
your
of me
ass.
starting. I sort of kept a more careful eye out to see if the man seemed to be just watching me the whole time. Every time I looked over, sure enough, he was looking at me. The guy was really starting to creep me out. He didn't even have a laptop with him at all this time. I decided that if I saw him again the next day when I worked,
Was he
I would
not even
confront him
ordering
and ask him
anything?
what he was doing. When the next day came, I showed up to work, and before long, the guy was there again. On this day, I worked a much later shift than I had the day before. I decided to go ask the man what was up. I didn't want to be rude about it, so I went around and swept the floors. When I got to near where the man was, I asked him how he was doing. I then said that I saw him there a lot, and asked if he came here to work. I hoped that there was some strange logical explanation that he would be able to explain to me then.
Then I'm here for
Instead, he
you.
said, yeah, he was getting work done. Then I told him how some of us noticed he only seemed to come in when I was working, and I asked him if that was just a coincidence or what the deal was. The man responded by just getting up and walking out without saying a word.
He's like, damn, they
I was
noticed.
glad he was gone now, and I was sure he had just been stalking me at work, which had been making me really uncomfortable, and hopefully this would cause him to stop. I did feel kind of awkward about the whole confrontation, but during the rest of my shift, I felt a lot better about things and was more comfortable now that the man was gone. I got off of work that night at about 8 p.m., and afterwards drove the 10 minutes or so that it took to get back to my apartment. When I pulled into the parking lot of my apartment and parked my car, that's when I saw the same guy in a car parked right across from me. I couldn't believe it.
He's like,
I
now
knew
is
for a
the
fact
time.
that this guy didn't live here, and I had never seen him there before. How did he know that I lived here, and why was he here? I chose not to get out of my car and go up to my apartment, but instead, I remained sitting in the front seat. I watched the guy's car to see what he was doing. He then looked over and saw me. After making eye contact, the lights of his car suddenly turned on, and he then started his engine and sped away. I was relieved to see him gone, but I was also nervous now that he knew where I lived. I went inside to my apartment, but had a really hard time getting to sleep that night. Luckily, the guy never came back that I know of. I never did see him
That you
again at
know
work
of.
either. I'm really glad that I saw him in his car when I came home from work, because I feel like he had been stalking me to know where I lived. I think he was hoping that I hadn't seen him, and I have no clue what he would have done then.
Trying out what apartment you in. You wake up, motherfuckers standing over you in bed like shit. You like, you know, it fucked up, right?
I
So
think it was last spring when this story occurred. I remember that I had been out near the city and was on my way home. I was maybe 10 minutes from home when I passed through one of my local cities that has a shopping area and most of the stores and restaurants that you could think of. When I came through this area, I was pretty tired and in the mood for a coffee. It was probably about 9 p.m. or so I didn't want to go to bed just yet. I saw that there was a Starbucks up ahead, and I took the exit to stop there. The Starbucks was at the very far end of the shopping area and was kind of hidden by some other buildings and whatnot. I drove around to it and then pulled into the drive-thru. When I did, nobody else was in line. I then noticed that all of the lights inside were off. That's when I realized that they were closed. I felt so stupid because I knew that Starbucks closed at like 8 or even earlier in many locations. After realizing my mistake, I knew I could just get a coffee at McDonald's or something, and I pulled around the rest of the drive-thru to leave. But when I got immediately out of the drive-thru to the back parking lot area, I noticed that there were about 4 cars all parked in the parking lot. Almost as soon as I noticed them, all of their lights turned on at once. I had entered the Starbucks through the other side and hadn't seen these cars at all. One of the cars then drove right in front of me, cutting me off and preventing me from leaving the parking lot. I also noticed another one of the cars start to drive, and that one ended up going right behind me.
Oh boy.
I was now blocked in by these cars.
What?
One was an SUV, and the others just looked like regular cars, but they all appeared to be dark gray in color and have very tinted windows. I was just waiting for them to leave.
Like
They
this
were
is
just
a
sitting.
plan.
I literally couldn't move my car very much at all. Then, I saw someone stick their head out the window of the car in front of me and look back at me. It was someone sitting in the back seat, and they were wearing a mask of a clown, and a pretty creepy one too. There was another person sticking their head out of the front window. This guy had on a ski mask with also sunglasses. Then, I saw literally all 4 doors of the car open, and 4 guys got out, all with masks on, and they seemed to have baseball bats in their hands. As soon as they started heading over in my direction, I put my car in reverse and backed out as much as I could. I then slammed on the brakes, probably inches from hitting the guy behind me. I guess I had a little more space than I thought I did, because I never felt or heard myself hit anything. I then sped out, again narrowly missing the other car, as well as the guys in masks, who one of them took a swing at my car as I drove away. He hit the left front headlight, breaking it, but I was just happy to be getting away from those.
Oh yeah, they about to fuck your
The car
car
behind
up.
me started to pull out after me, but eventually stopped as I managed to get back on a busier road. I drove all the way home, thankfully without being followed, and after getting home, assessed the damage to my car. Pretty much just a smashed headlight and no other damage. The next day, I went back to the Starbucks parking lot and found pieces of my headlight smashed on the ground. I went to the police and made a report, and they took some photos. All in all, I don't think they ever found the guys, but I'm just glad to be okay.
No, it wasn't much that they could do. Like, unless you described the cars and you like had the license plate, which I doubt he
Starbucks is a
did.
manager currently. The Starbucks is a building that stands alone, but it's in a parking lot of a shopping center with some other stores and restaurants nearby. Most days, I work until close, which is 8:30 p.m. at our location, and I'm the last one to be there, and I usually stay after to clean and things like that. Usually, it takes me until about 9 p.m., but sometimes later. I remember that one night a couple of months ago, after we closed, I stayed back to do some cleaning and other organizing work. It took me a lot longer than I expected or hoped, and by the time I was done, it was about 9:30. At last, I finally got my things and left. The parking lot at our Starbucks was very small, so I often parked a ways away in the nearby shopping center parking lot. It was an area where nobody else really parked and was kind of just extra parking spaces. I didn't mind walking a little bit farther. As I began walking back to my car, I realized how quiet it was. Pretty much everything else in the area was closed now, except for the Applebee's at the other end of the shopping center. Then, I started to hear footsteps behind me. It was as if the footsteps were coming straight from the Starbucks that I had been at. I thought it was strange, but kept walking. It took me less than a minute to get to my car, but when I had just about arrived, the footsteps seemed to be much closer than before. In fact, they seemed to only be like 5 feet behind me, and my car was the only car there. I was startled and turned around, but when I did, I didn't see anybody. Nobody was there at all, but I knew I had heard footsteps. I was at my car now, and feeling really creeped out by this. I quickly unlocked my car door, then opened it and got inside. As soon as I got inside the driver's seat, I looked over to immediately see a creepy-looking guy staring right at me from outside my passenger's window. I knew instantly that he was going to try to get inside, and I hit the lock button just before he tried the door. I then started my engine.
Did all your
The
doors
guy
unlocked?
banged on my window. He had a really dirty-looking beard and longer hair. He had to be the one following me in the parking lot. I then backed out my car and drove off. As I did, I watched the guy. He just stood there, waving at me now. He had a creepy grin on his face as he did.
He's just trying
After
to be
that,
creepy
I
now.
parked much closer and haven't parked in that location ever since.
Yeah, that's interesting because like I unlock my car. The only lock that unlocks is the driver door. Unless I hit the button twice, then it unlocks all the doors. But I do remember, was it my mom's car or I think my it was my dad's old car. This was years ago. I was a kid. When you unlock the door, it would unlock all the doors at the same time. but but no, it wasn't that Volvo. Cause that Volvo, I was real young. Shit, I think they got rid of that car like right after I started walking. Oh, oh yeah, not they got repossessed. They didn't get, they didn't get selling. So yeah, take it. But um, no, it wasn't that because I remember. It's funny how some memories you have as a kid. You're like, am I just making that up in my head, or I think I remember something? And I asked like my mom or my dad, and they were like, yeah, that happened, or it happened similar to that. And I was like, oh, okay. It's something funny how that memory works. But was it? It wasn't that Volvo. It was that Toyota. Yeah, the one that my dad had gotten that accident to get that insurance money for. But that car unlocked, but you unlock that with a key and just the driver's side, and you had to open it and unlock the rest of the doors. But what car was that? It was one car we had. What was it? That Lincoln that would unlock all the doors? I don't think it was. I could be wrong. Anyway, but yeah, that's I always thought that was a design flaw. And the car unlocked all the doors at once. So only unlock the driver door, and then the driver or the person getting in the driver side, should be able to unlock all the doors once they get in. You know. But then that other, what was that other? He said they blocked him out. That sounds like some gang shit. Like they a gang and they or not really necessarily a gang, but just like unruly, like young teenagers. Like just hey, we just gonna just beat you up and fuck up your car, or maybe they're gonna steal his car. I don't know. Well, I mean, they could be adults. Cause recently, um, somebody stole my brother's neighbor's catalytic converter. Now he came outside. He's from what my mom told me. Uh, my brother's a cop. My older brother's a cop, and he was at home, and I guess this was happening in the morning. And he happened to be the guy happened to be up. His neighbor happened to be up, and he looked outside and saw these people underneath his was underneath his son's car because his son lives with him, and he went outside. He said, "The guy pulled a gun." And it was like, go back inside. Told him to go back in his house. I was like, sheesh. And they live like close to downtown Chicago. And he called my brother. And my brother, he was like, what? And my mom told me my brother got up. And I said, hey, my brother probably can't wait to use one of them guns on somebody because he got a bunch of guns. He got my dad's old guns. When I get my concealed carry, I might get I think is it a Glock? No, my dad got a 9mm. Might get that from that 12 gauge, cause he got an AR-15. He got two handguns, but I think he bought his own handguns. I don't think they issued him any gun. And he got a shotgun, double barrel pump action shotgun. And I know he was like waiting because he put on his vest, bulletproof vest, uh, got his gun. I don't know which one he went and got. He probably had his handgun because he keep that, near him. Then to go down in his his gun safe, get the shotguns out. But by the time he got out there, they were gone with the catalytic converter. I was just like, somebody got. I saw a video in Elgin, Illinois. Somebody was stealing the catalytic converter at someone's house, and the alarm went off. And the guy, I don't know the guy's car or what. They was under the car for like a minute. The alarm went off. Dude came out the house with no shirt on and looked like a little bat, but not like a full size like bat. Like it was like a smaller bat, and like so one of them like kid bat. He came out, he had no shirt on, and then somebody else came out the house, like, and then they started running, and they had somebody in a car. They was going drive off, but the guy got out the back seat into the passenger seat, and one of the guys underneath the car got out and ran to the driver's side. The other guy was still trying to struggle to get. He got under the car when the dudes came out. Instead of getting from underneath, he went further under. And then when the guy ran past, he comes out and runs, tries to run, trips and falls. One of the guys who came from underneath the car, he got in the driver's side and just started driving off, but more like real slow, almost like he stepped on the gas a little bit and just let the momentum kind of take it. And the dude was trying to run because he had like tools. He had trying to pick his tools. And he's like, "I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry." I was like, the fuck? I was like, you doing this in a neighborhood and then it was like during the day. But like my brother did this happen in the morning. Oh, I'm guessing that was a Saturday in the morning. Like maybe it's like people were gonna not be up or something. But I mean, I can see that maybe doing that at night. But during the day like that, and in a neighborhood, like in the morning, people be getting up and going out and sitting. More people, like especially in the city, like people be getting up, going out, or be awake in the morning. Like I said, I can see it at night. And then on a Saturday, you would think you'd probably do something like that on a weekday, because you assume a lot of people be working during the day, so they probably be asleep by a certain time. So we can go out and steal catalytic converters around like 1 or 2 in the morning and see how many we can get, something like that. But I was like, you come out in the morning or in the middle of the day, because I've seen some videos in other states where it was like this. They showed like they had a time stamp because I guess it was a CCTV camera, and somebody got caught stealing a catalytic converter in like a parking garage or some shit. And which I was like, wow, parking garage. And this was in the middle, and then this was a parking garage for. They said the description video said it was for like I forget, some business specifically for that. So I was like, you don't know. Like, I mean, I guess you could say, well, they'd probably be, if everyone's at work, it's less likely somebody be coming out here. But if they have security, like when I was going to DePaul University, I would park downtown. They had the one, what's that one? Is it Forest Park? Because they had 2 campuses. I think it was the further one down. I think it's Forest Park or Park Forest, something, whatever. They got their own parking garage. The actual DePaul campus. Like, you have to show, if you're a student, they need to show your ID. You park there for free. I'm sorry, not for free. You park there for a cheaper rate unless you pay for one of those parking passes, which I did for. I think I paid. I don't know. I think it was like $200 for a year or something like that. But can, but if you not and you park there, you gotta pay when you leave. Um, but I think it's because I know they said when you go in there, you just get the push thing for the ticket. So I think anybody can really park there. Because I thought it was reserved for students, but I guess not. But that'd be like parking in there and waiting for somebody. Like, but that I mean, that people coming and going. That's a different thing. 'Cause that's school. You know, people got a bunch of different schedules and shit like that. So, but I guess if you're working for a company, you're like, oh, they're not gonna be here. Maybe they'll come out around like lunchtime or something. But even then, like you don't, like you never know. I guess there's no exact science. Like it would not know what I'm actually knowing. You know, somebody could just walk out. Like I said, this happened. This happened early in the morning, like around. He said like dawn, so it was around like 6. Well, around like right now probably like 7. 7 or 8, around 7 or 8. About 7. So it's like early dawn hours. So you assuming that people are still asleep, no one's up, and like you don't know people, especially like in cities. Like me, I work nights, so. But I'm about to get some cameras around my house. I was looking today at buying some. I didn't get any yet, but because I'm debating on should I get some real expensive ones or should I just get because the more expensive usually like you can download an app and watch it on your phone. It records like the camera's down in my dad's house. That you can download an app and look at it on your phone. It records. I think it records the whole 24 hours, and then it. I think it holds that recording for a week, and then they reset the recording, and you can download the recording if you want to before that week is up. But yeah. Anyway, hope you enjoyed my reaction. And if you did, make sure to hit that thumbs up button down below. Make sure to subscribe if you're here. Hit that bell if you know if I upload damn new videos. Comment down below. Share the video. I'll see you next time. Peace.